Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for everybody's favorite segment, and it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
This just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So Dave Meltzer, he had this to say in regards to Taz's retirement or hanging of his banner or whatever. And Taz was like, yo, he said, nah, as per my request, no need to have it on TV. We have lots of current in-ring wrestlers that should get the TV time. This isn't about me. It's 2025. I've been retired for years. I do not want or need anyone's TV time. Not how I'm wired. Dave goes, nope. And he gives his own opinion, but shut up. And Dave goes, this is a thing where your opinion's not warranted. If a guy wants to be retired on TV or in his backyard or in his right? It's like you saying something about where he got married or something. If he wants his banner hung on TV or on the internet or whatever. But Dave was like, I strongly disagree. Actually, Taz, I get your sentiment. It is about the future, but sometimes you want to honor and reflect on the past. So all these goofy goofballs, sicko, going, it's just nostalgia. WWE is just nostalgia. Here's King Sicko himself fansplaining to Taz about why he should have did the nostalgia thing and hang his rafters or his am I saying rafters the whole time? His banner in the rafters. I'm a dummy.
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Right? They're all freaking out. Dave's begging for nostalgia. I just find that hilarious. And then Taz responds. He's like, so you're disagreeing with they would call my moment and how I prefer to have it done. Come on. People watch. I can't believe I didn't retweet this. With the people watching programming, much different than years ago. People can still see it's all online. Taz, thank you, dude. And I don't care if they did it on TV or not, but that's the whole thing when Goldberg was all like, oh man, that was how they retired me and stuff. Dude, he got all the views from them, putting it online. I'm not saying this would do that because they didn't book this the right way, but Goldberg had his match. He had his crazy moment with his family and everyone's in the ring. It cuts off. It goes to social media where he gives his final speech and a babillion people watch it. So Taz gets it. God damn it. People can still see it. It's all online. I never want to take TV time from anyone that's still bumping or younger than me. That's just how I feel for a long time, and that ain't changing. No ego or insecurities for me. Dave, I disagree. Actually, Taz. And I just said, Dave Meltzer's such a clown dude. He negatively affects AEW and galvanizes a bunch of sick people online to do the same. I told you guys recently, one day a bunch of active wrestlers will say something and validate me. They all agree with flutes. I'm glad Taz pointed the obvious out to old Magoo. So moving along. So here's what Dave said. And again, man, do we gotta what have I told you guys? 50 steps ahead of Dave, always. But he says the new AAA creative structure. This is Observer. This could be anyone, likely Dave. He writes out all of the newsletter, right? So the new AAA creative structure has Paul Levesque at the top, with his main creative support being. So if this is all true, which if it is, Dave is right, but he's late to the party. But the new creative support being Jeremy Borash. I've told you guys that. For anyone, it's Conan, Borash, and talks to Conan. That's the WWE guy. Told you that that a long time ago. Mark Calloway, now with him, it's like a consulting. It's support. So he's more of a support. Charles Ashenoff. Is that his name? Chuck Conan. Is that his name? I didn't even know that, actually.
Conan.
And Dorian Roldan. Now listen to this. The key producers for the brand are now Matt Bloom. Crazy. Pete Dunne. Love that, Pete. Love that. He's doing producing and he's wrestling on some indies. He's being one of the El Grande Americano guys. Awesome. Chavo Guerrero Jr. Awesome. Another great fucking guy that AEW fumbled a little bit. because they brought him in and all that shit. Him and Jose, the assistant, and all that shit. That was cooking, man. And then again, Chavo, but he's like a WWE nostalgia guy, so I guess they'd have gotten roasted for that. But all good either way. He's just a guy I'd want back, especially when you have smaller guys. Chavo teamed with Eddie, and he wrestled the Kurt Angles and Edge and all these guys. Like, he was tagging against the world's greatest tag team and all these fucking legit bigger guys, even like a Benoit at the time. He was fucking juiced up, man. So psychology wise and shit, Chavo's just a guy you want, and I don't know why AEW let him go, and neither does he, according to him. Jack Melendez, Moody Jack, Juan Rivera, Savio Vega, Jose Cordero, Lince Dorado. So Lindsay's been working with WWE and NXT for a while behind the scenes, helping guys with gear and all that shit. And one other person. Look at this. One other unnamed person. Huh. Who's that, I wonder?
This just in from Phil Marks of PWT. He says, I told you so.
Alberto Del Rio, anyone? There is some input from Shawn Michaels to Levesque, but it was said that this is my problem with fucking Dave Magoo. He calls like The Rock Dwayne. He calls Triple H Levesque, but then he'll call Shawn Michaels Shawn Michaels. Like, why don't you call him Hickenbottom? Why don't you call everybody by their real name? This doesn't make fucking sense. But he's not really involved because he's so heavily invested in NXT. But yeah, and one other person. Who's that person? Well, I already told you guys a long ass time ago. So yeah, Phil don't miss. Tony Khan's report on we read that one. That was fucking funny. So Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez have filed for divorce due to irreconcilable differences over AEW moving their pay-per-view to 3 p.m. They get in a big fight. I can't wait, man. Tony Khan and AEW have once again shattered a lifelong relationship. RIP. September 4th, 2025. Let's see this. All Out versus WrestlePalooza. Pay-per-views on Max, Dynamite, NXT, and more. And they get in a fight. We have a clip of it. We might even have the full goddamn thing. Here is Dave Meltzer and Bryan coping, though, over the Netflix numbers, and they're like, they're virtually impossible. And it's like, yeah, Dave, the fake version of them that you do in your mind don't work out.
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
But you're just a dumbass.
The numbers that they gave on Monday are actually mathematical impossibilities.
Yes, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If we know that these numbers are not real,
yes,
and we know that they're manipulated.
Oh, you don't know. You don't know that they're manipulated. You don't know them. The Netflix people know them, and people in WWE know them. You don't know shit. You don't know shit. Oh, Netflix posts the fucking, and we know what they are, and then we go by the fucking, shut up. No one gives a fuck. Hey, how about this? Who cares what any of the ratings are for any of these shows? How about that? How about that? Stop hanging your hat on that. It's only ruined AEW. That wouldn't even be the discussion surrounding AEW if they didn't make it that all the fucking time and trying to discredit WWE. Yeah, the Netflix numbers aren't 10 million people watching every week. We know they're not as good and as strong as people anticipate. Okay, they're still there for 5 years. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? They're selling out everywhere. Why do you care that they sell out? Fucking don't. If you want to talk about, well, I do, but I don't. Like, I love it because pro wrestling's stronger than ever. Just like I like when TNA sells out. Just like I go, pretty good house for AEW. And people are like, 4K. When they do 4K, I'm like, that's a good house. 4K? Yeah, that's good for them now. I'm happy. I like when pro wrestling thrives. The problem is that it's always about these fucking numbers and shit. Okay, then. So we go, look at who's doing the best merch sales, the best attendance, the best. Oh, well, it's fucking McDonald's. Okay, so McDonald's trying to sell the most cheeseburgers, so they are the best at doing that. Their objective isn't to be a Wagyu beef burger. We have all these dumb fucking arguments that it always gets, the goalpost gets moved or gets spun into this fucking argument where we're talking about Taylor Swift. Meanwhile, AEW fans want Taylor Swift. Oh, is Taylor Swift the best at selling records? Yeah, and that's her fucking objective. So, like, what are you talking about? Yes. At making sad love songs after she breaks up with dudes? Yep, the best at it. I think so, right? So WWE's objective is like, we're trying to be the most mainstream sports entertainment, global fucking big fight feel, sports-based wrestling and entertainment-based wrestling program on the planet. I think they're the best at that. I don't fucking know. We can look at these numbers to prove that. Now, if you want to argue about what's the best style of wrestling, I argue they're doing it in WWE. They give you the flippy shit. They give you the TLC hardcore shit. They give you blood now and again. They give you fucking swears now and again, if that's your cup of, right? They give you a bit of everyone's like, oh, AEW's got a bit of everything. Not really, man. It's got a bunch of run-ins, gory shit, cringe, immature, Vince McMahon level fucking cringe shit, and then like matches with lots of crazy fucking moves that go on too long over and over and over again. Okay, no promos are exceptional. They're getting kind of repetitive. I don't know, man. What more do we got to say? Like, let's just argue the art. Like, we would be arguing like, well, no, what fucking match was better this week? But we're not arguing about that because fucking it's about the numbers and shit because of these two chuckle fucks is the point I'm getting at. The conversation should be more nuanced than this fucking bullshit, but it's really gross and disappointing. In 2020 fucking 5, I keep going back to the 20. That's such a virtue signal. It's 2025. Think of the children. Will someone think of the children? Will someone think of the date and time and place?
Every week.
Yes.
Why are you even bothering to like follow them? They're fake.
The hours are really, it's easy to track. It's not difficult at all. I've done the math. The math is perfect. We take the hours and we divide it by the runtime. What they are doing with the runtime is the manipulation because they are acting as if.
And then he fucking puts his own math on the screen.
In most cases, they usually act that it's somewhere between, I've seen as low as 4, as high as about 25%. One show in the early days, they were at 80%.
In the early days, 10 months ago. What are you talking about? He's, dude.
100%.
Let's just listen.
Watch.
I'm going to go off. We have a lot.
Okay, and then they take the live thing. You know, as it got when you were talking about getting to 15%, 10%. It's ridiculous because we know that far more of those people watch live. But this week, of course, they actually had it to where nobody watched. Nobody watched live, and
nobody watched live. Nobody. I didn't do a stream watching it live, Dave.
Of you people like me and you.
No, I know. He's just speaking. I'm dissecting it, but he's just speaking so like nobody watched it. It was on at lunch. People were at work. You talking about? Well, internationally, Brian. Internationally, Phil. In the UK.
You that watched hours later and watched commercials, we couldn't have because it wouldn't fit into the thing. The average runtime of that show was 1 hour. The hour, if you divide the two numbers, it's 1 hour and 55 minutes. Okay. We all watched that show. Was last week's show. This week's show was 2 hours 46. Last week's show was 2 hours 36 minutes. So that's the manipulation.
What manipulation, though? I just don't get it. So then why don't you spurg out about like, oh, the Tom Brady roast didn't really break record? Like, why do you care? The whole point of streaming is so you can watch shit later. Why would Netflix like, oh, we're just lying about this thing and we're not, and we don't want the PLEs though? Why would they be like really honest? Like, we don't want the PLEs. And why would they bury this thing that they spent a bunch of money on? Why wouldn't they try and put it over? Why do you care about that? Because
the numbers
this
that
is
they
why.
gave on Monday.
This is why the wrestling don't hold up. Because you're begging bruv right now to fucking wrestle a Roman Reigns style. Because you'll get smoked, and he gets smoked in every. I don't know. It doesn't matter, dude. Look at their fucking sellouts. Look at the social media numbers and all this shit. If you want to start talking about numbers, right? Like it just the streaming on Netflix is like a lot of people just watch wrestling on YouTube and shit now too. WWE knows that. They lean into it. Now break that down with Max and go, well, this NBA game at their peak with LeBron and Doncic, when it did 1 million, Max touted it, right? Like, why don't you do a breakdown like that for that and talk about how their numbers, they're doing a spin on their numbers too. It's fucking nuts, dude. So, yeah, we covered Dave disagreeing with Taz about his own feelings. And not that feels conquers reals, but just being like, I disagree with his call on how his banner, how his jersey gets hung up, dude. Kind of clown shit is that? So Dave Meltzer says he responds to Bully Ray's tweet and he says, what are minus 28.5%, plus 3.5%, minus 57%, minus 34.6%, and minus 44.2%. Dave, nobody knows. Not even your little daddy, Tony Khan, or your little son, rather, Tony Khan. The best
guy's Tony Khan.
And none of the boys that you blow. Like if Will Ospreay saw this, he's like, what? He'd be like, what the fuck? Bruv, nobody knows what you're talking about. This is fucking dumb. This doesn't matter. Shut up. And Dave takes this position of like, if you don't know this, then you're just a lying fraud. Dave, are you going to challenge Bully now? And does he have to outdraw Dynamite 2 in 2025? Just to fuck you up? Is that what he's got to do now? Conan and Bischoff already fucked you up. Do we need to like start a thing where we harass Bully until we go throw a show? Well, he's the only match announced for BFG. Bound for Glory, I think. That's going to do crazy numbers for TNA, man. What are you going to say then? And then the fucking yes. Oh my god. This is amazing. This is awesome right here, dude. Justified. This is awesome, Chance. So Dave Meltzer in a nutshell, we covered that. The mathematician there, or that wasn't the mathematician, but that was Dave's math, what he was just spurging about. Yeah, so here is Neckbeard's post, this one. Wrestle Talk says Kurt Angle calls out a lack of selling and psychology in modern wrestling. So he's calling out Meltzer's little baby favorite style. His favorite baby style. I have to respond, Meltzer Magoo. I have to respond to this. Yeah, let me respond to this, to Kurt Angle as well. Let me tell Taz and Kurt Angle what's what. See, it's gone to his head. Dave's gone too far. It's gone to his head. He thinks, and because of Tony, it's because of Tony, I'm telling you. It's gone to his head where this billionaire is doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling, I don't fucking know, down on Tony Khan's vision of pro wrestling, or Dave Meltzer's vision of pro wrestling. And Tony takes his advice. He does. He texts him. Dave says it. I was really pushing for, well, you know, the creative is this. Even Bryan had to call it out. Trying Bryan had to be like, dude, these are like text conversations you fucking have. And none of us are privy to this information. Tell the audience this shit. You fucking mark. And now he's going to tell Kurt Angle, who won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. And Dave says, please, number 23, please no, 23 years ago when I was telling everyone how great Kurt was, bro, everyone knew that Kurt was great. Dave, nobody needed you to tell anybody how great he was. The pay-per-view sales, how hot the Attitude Era was, his legend in the sport of pro wrestling, his legend in the sport of amateur wrestling in the Olympics. We didn't need Dave dummy fucking Meltzer, slobber tongue fucking Meltzer, telling anybody how good Kurt Angle was 23 years ago or now. The smart fans and older wrestlers, aside from Flair, were constantly doing He's a great athlete, but he's going too fast and has no psychology. So, Dave, I thought that the smart fans all listened to you. That's what you claim. You're infinitely smarter. The smart fans listen.
Stupid idiot.
We have nigh infinite examples of this, of you saying this. But you're saying smart fans back then were shitting on Kurt for being too quick and being too fast, Brian. And you were like, no, stupids. He's actually really good. I thought the smart fans all listen to you. So which is it? It's the problem with Dave. He can't keep up with his own bullshit. He just says shit. He just says shit, then he'll flip-flop it. And the thing is that Dave Meltzer, so what he's doing now is this is the same story he's told about other wrestlers. Oh, Shawn Michaels, they said he was too fast. Oh, I used to say that Rock and Roll, the Midnight Express, they used to say they were too quick, and I defend, and I said they were great, Brian. And he has the same story he just tells about like different wrestlers in different eras. By the way, they used to say that about Shawn. See, exactly. There you go. Definitely said it about Flair. Lived through this for 4 generations. While there is truth in some of what he is saying, please, older guys, learn the perspective of history. Farmer Burns said it about Stetcher. Everyone said it about Sonnenberg. Later about Rogers. Okay, Dave, here's the problem, though. There are limits to things. And this is the biggest fucking problem with Dave. He's about to learn this. Shawn Michaels was over as fuck, considered one of the greatest of all time by many people, not just you. Many people who have way bigger influences over the way people think about wrestling, who actually did the fucking thing, and they will say Flair and Michaels. Who the fuck is Drew like Flair? Or even Michaels in AEW.
Stupid idiot.
Who's done it? Who's fucking drawn consistently like Flair in AEW to where you can even compare any of them to Flair? So maybe this is the limit. Maybe we found it. Maybe it's like, no, dude, this is the fucking limit. There's no going past where we're at, where guys are taking doomsday devices on the outside, landing on their fucking neck, then going, I have 3 herniated discs, bruv. Let me jump off the cage in the cage match, bruv. Maybe that's just like too much. And we're just like gone too far. Oh, taking context history. Yeah, guys were a lot bigger. A lot of these guys who flew around, they would wrestle some smaller guys as an attraction, but then when they got really over, they were wrestling like bigger dudes. Like Michaels had to wrestle Diesel and Vader and Undertaker and have these brilliant fucking matches. Who are you comparing? Well, Ospreay, Omega. Okay, but you say that. That's not the collective. Everyone doesn't agree on that the way everyone agrees Flair's one of the GOATs, Dave. So again, you're like, oh, the history. But, well, I'm talking like Dave is here. He's here. He's right here with me. It's just, yeah, Dave.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Like, I get it that wrestlers said it back then, but you're like, oh, Farmer Burns said it about Stetcher. Okay, everyone didn't think it was a work back then. A lot of people still believed in it. It was still real to me, damn it, for a lot of folks. So, again, you're not thinking about history. You're just like using the same story you've told 100 times about, I knew they were over, and then fucking these guys said they were too fast. And I was like, no, this is great. More flips. So SmackDown on Friday did a 1.15.28, lowest for a regular episode, even July 4th shows, going against 3 college football games and for a show airing on 5-hour tape delay. Okay, what were the Netflix numbers? Add it. But yeah, everyone was down. There's football and shit. Absolutely. But for Dave to act like, I'm just tired of it being it's not comparable. AEW is not comparable to WWE. We just got to accept that. Not in the numbers. Now, if you want to talk about opportunity and like the fucking contracts they're paying, okay, sure. A lot of athletes get overpaid. That's nothing new. So this guy here, Gumster, says, Dave, regarding the UFC Paramount deal, I just want to know, how did Paramount afford this deal? The week before they purchased South Park, which was $1 billion deal, then got UFC. Where did they get all this money since they're losing money on the app? Yeah, so they paid South Park, or which one was it? They paid, I think, UFC more than they're worth or something like that. And yeah, dude, money is just invisible shit that rich people and elitists print out and just say like, oh, that's worth $50. And then we're all living life like, hey, what's up? You got like, that's what it is, bro. All this shit. They fucking print out money with interest. What? How does that fucking work? I don't know. They print out money that already has interest from invisible money. What the fuck? You know, it's like. But anyways, Dave goes, the deal made no current business sense. On Monday's show, I went into the reasons they do things like this in detail. The Friday Garrett shows have talked about the business of streaming. Except Batman and the whys of deals that lead to often billions in losses to the streaming companies. And then Niccolo Piccolo says, no, moron. And I just liked it because he called him a moron. So yeah, Niccolo Piccolo goes off on Dave quite a few times. So here is Dave Meltzer saying, shout out Neckbeards, and Meltzer says, history shows WWE and AEW both lose viewers to sports. Stop comparing them, bro. Stop comparing them. Why do you guys need validation through WWE? Why can't you just be validated in the shit because it's not legit? And y'all all know that. The sickos, Dave, you all know that deep down. That's why you look for validation through WWE. That's not how it fucking works. It's so fucking stupid. So AEW, so he says AEW also does when news numbers are high. People have this stereotype of an AEW fan, and a small percentage fit it. But of the mass TV audience, they are like people with every TV show. It's not their lives. If they are home watching and nothing is better on, they will. No, Dave, people don't just throw AEW on casually like they do WWE. Maybe in some rare occasions, but they're just not doing that, man. It's like the uber hardcores. I've said this once and I'll say it again. I need to make this a fucking t-shirt. Most AEW fans watch WWE too. Most WWE fans do not watch AEW. That's for the sickos and the wackos in the back, okay? Most AEW fans watch WWE. Most WWE fans don't watch AEW. Stop comparing it. Maybe they'll watch on DVR or streaming later. Maybe they'll miss a show just like WWE. Yeah, but more people watch WWE. Just say that. Although it has a higher loyalty factor, they get killed every year by the NFL and NBA playoffs. But they still do in the millions. So who cares? So who gives a shit? Oh, they get killed just like AEW. So AEW's doing like their worst numbers ever, but they get killed. WWE too. Why do you need to validate yourself through what WWE is doing? It's so fucking stupid. Like, it's the dumbest thing, man. So Meltzer said what? Says, wow, second on cable and third. And shout out Meltzer said what, by the way. That's my buddy. Second on cable and third for the night, only trailing 2 college football games. This is incredible. An incredible rating according to Uncle Dave's new rules of ratings. Congratulations, WWE, on another successful show. And so, yeah, Dave is like, the show finished third for the night on the 18 to 49 charts, trailing 2 college football games. The top-rated game, average on another game on Fox, finished second with a 0.64, blah, 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 2.832 million viewers. Yeah, he was on at lunch. He was on a tape delay and shit. I don't know, man. It's just boring. It's fucking so boring to hear Dave like, constantly trying to do math. That's just like, Fucking bullshit. So Meltzer said, what says, here's the video. Dynamite Dave is just as big a piece of shit to his best friend and life partner, Bryan, as he is to random egg accounts on Twitter. He cannot shut the fuck up for 10 consecutive seconds to listen to anybody else's point. You know what? We have a lot of fucking Dave. Let's slide through some of these and then we'll come back. Like that, their argument is the main event of this evening. Okay. So we're going to circle back to that. Dave Meltzer gets super mad, dude. He gets really mad and frustrated, and he's coping and seething. He's going through some fucking emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
And Dave is like, God damn, are you stupid? He has had as many 4-star matches, which is what you should look at, as almost anyone from his generation was voted into the Hall of Fame. The one with voting in-ring wrestler of the decade. And yes, I wrote about this and his ability, while others did the no psychology, works too fast bullshit that I knew from the legacy of Ric Flair, how 20 years later he'd be viewed as one of the all-time great. His brain starts fucking melting. Cannot compute. Holy shit, man. This is crazy. And then Brian Greig goes, so you were telling everyone how great he was 23 years ago. Okay, let's see how good your prediction was. And Dave's triggered because this guy pulled his card. Bro, you gave him 2 5-star matches or whatever. You've given Ospreay 52. And he's like, well, you should look at their 4-star matches are equal, though. You don't get it, Dave. Objectively speaking, maybe it's not objective. People throw that around. Listen, maybe it's not objective. At what point does the collective subjective opinion on something then become an objective opinion on something? I don't know, but I'll just say subjectively on a far greater scale. Can I word it that way? Does that work? More people think Kurt Angle was greater and has way better matches than Ospreay. We could stack them up. Match for fucking match, dude. And then also Angle's greatness as far as when he started and how far he came, how fast, and how far he went along. In his rookie year, winning titles and shit. That, and like not training a lot either. It's not like rookie year, oh, he was in OVW for 5 fucking years and then finally gets his run. Wasn't like that either. So Dave is just, he's so up his own ass. And he is so narrow-minded and incapable of looking at things objectively or putting himself in someone else's shoes or looking. He's so out of touch with like the general perception of like a normal wrestling fan. They look at Kurt Angle and his excuse would just be like, well, they've never seen Will Ospreay, but I thought they're doing Raw numbers, Dave. So then why aren't there people there's more people clamoring about Roxanne Perez than Will Ospreay? And that's not, look up the Google Analytics. That's not even, I bet that's true. I bet someone could fact check me live on PWT right now, and that's true. So to me, man, Dave, well, not to me. I think just we can all admit here and agree. Dave Meltzer is incapable of like putting himself or looking at it from other people's perspective. And he's entirely out of touch with what just like the general consensus is on fucking Kurt Angle. He's a better wrestler than Bruv. He understands psychology way more than Bruv. He accomplished more in less time than Bruv did. His matches, I could name 100 that are better than every Ospreay match that he's ever put on. Maybe not 100. Maybe that's being a little salacious there, like Dave likes to be. You're bringing the worst out of me, Dave. I'm stooping to your level with that one. But, you know, I could name 10 that are better probably. That are, if I really sat down and thought about it, you know? Well, if you have to sit down and think, that's the thing. I can't think of an Ospreay match where I go, that was fucking 5 stars. I really honestly can't, like, think of one off the top of my head. You know what I'm a mark for? When he wrestled Vader on an indie or whatever in the UK. Vader came out of retirement after he was shitting on like the flippy style, and then he put Vader over. That was cool as fuck. But was that like the greatest 5-star match ever? No, I don't think so. Yeah, Dave is just so out of touch with like how people perceive things. And Kurt Angle's, we're not going to compare their 4 stars because Angle's 4 stars, some of them probably should have been 5s, and fucking Osprey's 5 stars, a bunch of them should be like 3 and 2.5 stars, and maybe some 4 stars in there. I don't know though. We don't know like the curriculum of how. If I started a 5-star system, I would give you guys a curriculum. I would lay out like, this is how you remind me of what I really am. I would say like, this is how I come to this conclusion, you know, and we wouldn't break the fucking scale. It's like a Richter scale, Brian. So anyways, he's getting mad. God damn, you are stupid. The flippy bullshit. He's just getting mad because it's all blowing up in his face. It's all crumbling down, dude. And then this guy's like, what are your thoughts regarding the time shift, Dave? I've been arguing for it for weeks. So he thinks they should back down and move All Out away. And we covered it. Tony caved and listened to Dave again. Cave Meltzer. It's Tony's new nickname. Triple Cup, Cave Meltzer. Someone asked Grok if this was correct, and Grok was like, the math doesn't add up. Which is the point Dave was making. He's trying to say that the Netflix numbers are a fucking sham. But then how does he come up with any numbers at all? God damn, I don't know. Here is Dave glazing, the worst rated Dynamite in history.
Then we had Young Bucks, Fletcher, and Alexander versus Jet Speed, Kenny Omega, and Hangman. And this match was awesome.
No, it fucking wasn't. He doesn't even believe what he's saying. Brian doesn't even believe what he's saying. I promise you that.
Match. Nick Jackson he was unreal here. I mean, this was probably the best.
Nick Jackson was unreal, bro. He does the same shit he's been doing on the indies for how long? This whole Nick Jackson is awesome is a 4-year-old conversation that they never capitalized on, and so it doesn't matter.
You know, Nick Jackson's always great, but this was probably the best Nick Jackson. I was going to say in a long time, but goddamn, that match with Swerve and Will Ospreay was out of this world.
Out of this world. That match with Swerve and Ospreay was out of this world, Brian. God damn it. What a glazer, man.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Ospreay or something. And he was pretty good in that cage match too, but look, you had Adam Page who looked absolutely great in this match. You had Kenny Omega who looked great. You had Kyle Fletcher.
And he always just says this. He always just says this. This person looked great. This person looked great. And that's what Tony Khan says. What the fuck does that even mean? Was it selling good? No. The Young Bucks don't really sell. Well, Matt Jackson was for a while. He was selling his back for like months. But yeah, I don't know, man. They were great. This guy was great. This guy was great. Everyone was great. Well, what about it? Oh, the rope work, the Meltzer driver to the outside.
Who looked great, and Nick outshined all of them.
Then we had Young Bucks, Fletcher, and Alexander versus Jet Speed, Kenny Omega, and Hangman.
That's glaze Meltzer, dude, right there. That's crazy glaze. That's glazy. Brian, you don't have to live like this. So Meltzer said what? And he holds out for Brian. That's why it's trying Brian. I talked to Meltzer. Meltzer said what about this? We'll give it Brian. But he's like, Brian, you don't have to live like this. You've done radio with Dave for 25 years, and he treats you like a dog. Dave is a petulant child and has the social skills of a toddler. You need to mute his mic and put him in timeout when you're speaking. So here is his star ratings for Clash in Paris. Reigns versus Reed, 3.5. Wyatt's versus Profits, 2.75. Oh, it's based on how the crowds moved. Okay, then Roman Reigns and Reed was a 6 stars. And Dave, you can't give it stars based on the afterbirth either. That's not allowed. Lynch versus Bella, 2. Rusev versus Sheamus, 4.25. Cena versus Paul, 4.5. So he's putting Paul on like Osprey level, dude. Rollins, Punk, LA Knight, Uso, 4.25. I think his star ratings for WWE are too high as well, or too low sometimes. I just don't think he rates well at all. I just don't think I don't know how he's breaking it down, but I just do not think he does a good job of it for WWE or AEW. Nick Jackson, he was unreal. He outshined everyone. We just read that. So Dave Meltzer is like, I believe WWE gets Peacock numbers. They don't release them, but I've had conversations even in the last 24 hours, Brian, where it's been brought up in terms that they have them. But for most streaming properties, the belief is they don't have the numbers because it gives the streaming company an enormous advantage in contract negotiations. And then Niccolo Piccolo goes false. They know the numbers in real time. Yes, he says. Here's the thing, man. If I was Tony Khan, I would know the fucking numbers on Max. Like, how would you fucking not? That's literally your business. And Niccolo Piccolo, a guy who's in the TV world, he's like, look, man, the people who are in charge of the company know what the fucking numbers are. And I don't know. I'm inclined to believe that. I believe Tony Khan knows, even if other people don't know. I believe Tony Khan's had those conversations and they've given him estimates or whatever the fuck. He's seen spreadsheets or something. I believe Triple H knows the exact real-time Netflix fucking numbers. I'm positive. I'm sure Netflix, I'm positive of all of that as well. At the same time, someone proves some shit, like someone proves some shit, or I don't fucking, we're hearing it from Nick, who's like in the biz. So I guess that's somewhat from the horse's mouth, but until someone from Max comes and says, oh, it's fucking doing 50 billion or whatever all these sickos are saying, I just don't believe it. It's just that simple. So Meltzer said, is there any show or event AEW fans won't prioritize over Dynamite? According to Dave Meltzer, Little League, World Series, tennis, pickleball, roller derby, Vanderpump Rules, AJ Lee. And that's the other thing, man. I point this out all the time. Meltzer buries shit, and he's too dumb to realize how he buries it. So all the time, he's like, well, news was on, and this was on, and, Little League World Series was on, and Vanderpump Rules, and it's all roller derby. He's used all these excuses over the years, and it's like, so AEW fans are into all this obscure shit. They all go watch roller derby. They all go watch Vanderpump Rules instead of AEW. Like, dude, it's sickos watching. It's hardcore wrestling fans watch AEW. Like, I don't understand what he doesn't get about that. So yeah, Dynamite did a 4.72. The last two AEW shows have done terrible numbers after just a few weeks ago doing great numbers. Actually, except, well, it was the US Open tennis, it was big, but that was not enough for this number. It was actually, it was he number 4 in the time slot behind US Open, Fox News and Challenge. So it's just like, so every show's better than AEW. This is what he doesn't understand when he starts saying like, oh, Osprey could do like the Roman Reigns, he could do the top guy WWE style better than anyone in the world and like get super over. You should start doing that now that he's all hurt after I encouraged him to destroy his body for 5 stars. So Dave, you just buried AEW. You just said their style of wrestling's fucking not the top guy shit. You're saying that Osprey could slow it down and get more over and do it at like a Roman level? Huh. Roman level is like fucking the tippy top level in the world. So, okay, you just shit all over everything that you think you're like, he thinks he's helping. He's fucking not. And Tony thinks he's helping too. That's what's crazy. So Dave Meltzer gave this 90-minute CMLL Grand Prix Team International versus Team Mexico match 5 stars. A 90-minute CMLL match where Team Mexico, which was like Mystico, Mascota Dorado, Templario, Volado Jr., Atlantis Jr., Defunto, Titan, Neon, Anal. That's what she said. Oh, I'm sorry. I really, Angel de Oro. I'm just trying to throw the accent. I apologize. Zandokan. Because I don't know the dude. So, Anal. Oh, go. Rocky Romero, and then this is the international side. Rocky Romero, Taiji Ishimori, Donovan Dijak, Leo Rush, Speedball Mike Bailey, The Beast Mortis, Action Andretti, Robbie, Michael Oku, TJP. And it was like a 90-minute match or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, that's that match. And he gave it 5 stars, dude. A 90-minute tag match. And even Dave was like, when he covered it, he's like, oh, man. You know, a lot of people were like, it was great. And then a lot of people were like, oh, it was fucking bad midway through. And then it picked up. So it's like, how can that be a 5 stars? So Tony needs to stop letting Dave run AEW. That's from Disco Inferno.
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
Dave says it's very possible that tonight's show will be John Cena's last SmackDown appearance. It's very possible. Yeah, it was. That's what it fucking was. So Filthy Tom Lawler, for some reason, getting in the mix with Nicolo Piccolo, dude. So Meltzer's like, they don't know them. The NBA doesn't even know their max numbers. So that's a bold-faced lie.
Liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
That's a lie. We've shown them flexing the NBA max numbers on this show. They've said, this many million watched our show. 187,000 watched on max. And it was the Lakers versus Luke with LeBron versus Doncic and the Mavs. And they flex those numbers. They flex the numbers for that show, The Pit. Dave is he literally doesn't know anything. He doesn't have sources. Producers of TV shows on Max and other streaming services don't know their numbers. Confidentiality is the highest, even tougher than getting pay-per-view numbers. See, which, okay, I'll give him this. It might be tougher than getting pay-per-view numbers. I'll give him that. Here's the thing, though, man. The this is just, again, an old talking point of like the streamers. I went to negotiate with them. They wouldn't reveal the streaming numbers of whatever. They won't tell you so that they can fucking lowball you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but people have caught up to that. Like, you know, the agents, the managers and shit in Hollywood, trust me, they've caught up to that shit with the streamers. And yes, they still do try and hide them. Like, Dave's not entirely wrong there. But like, and I don't know if he's saying like the producers of shows. Yeah, I mean, there's 12 producers on a show sometimes. I mean, I'm being exaggerative, but like, yes, not everyone's privy to everything. Not everybody even cares about that shit. But like, again, that's like an old thing Dave heard 3 years ago, and he's like, oh, for Bert Kreischer, they lowballed him because they didn't tell him the numbers of whatever. That's some shit that like Amy Schumer was crying about or whatever. I should get paid as much as Chappelle or Chris Rock or whatever the fuck, when her numbers weren't as good and shit. So that's what this is. And Dave is like just behind the times on that, at least. And I'm not saying it's like 100% transparent across the board. I'm not saying that either. But like, that's just like a talking point that people have been dealing with and calling out the streamers for. And that's why they even show the WWE numbers at all. Right? Like Netflix, I'm talking about in that regard. But anyways, confidentiality is the highest, whatever. Nicolo Piccolo says, how do you lie this easily? So here's a fucking rant. He says, I work at one of the top full-service talent agencies in Hollywood, Stranger Things, Outer Banks, The Masked Singer. These are just a couple of our packages before the WGA shut down TV packaging. Why would you think Hollywood is this stupid? And by the way, Dave, he just won't acknowledge fucking flutes. The writer for Observer thanked me. He was like, thank you for plugging our stuff.
Acknowledge me.
When I owned his ass. And Dave won't acknowledge Nicolo Piccolo. Like, he wrote on his message board, or he told people like, yeah, just ignore him. And that's what the fucking bubble paradox is. And I know it's a cheesy name or whatever. but I coined the term, dude. I swear. There's probably something else called the bubble paradox that I don't know about. You know, I bet if I Googled it, it's like that's already a thing that I don't know. But either way, dude, we're calling it the bubble paradox. It's like he went and ran to his message board and was like, block all them out. Remember when he did that to Marie Shadows as well? Oh, just don't talk to her. You know, it's because she fucking owned him in an email and he was being a condescending prick to her. And he didn't like that. So he ran to his message board and they're asking, who's Marie Shadows? Is there any credibility? And then he's just like, he just fucking was like, don't even acknowledge, just buried her. He did the same thing with Nicolo Piccolo. So he says, why would you think Hollywood is this stupid? The major agencies are either majority owned by private equity or sold stakes to firms like Silver Lake, TPG, EQT, Crestview, or our backers. And here's the other thing Dave forgets. A lot of these WWE guys are signed to like big, even ones that aren't public. Just so you guys know, there's wrestlers signed to these big agencies that don't go public with it. They don't fucking put it out there. But they have people from these agencies like haggling deals for them and shit. Again, man, just AEW and WWE aren't the same thing. Dave really needs to get it through his head. But he says, do you think deals of that size happen without anyone knowing the numbers? I co-head our film sales and financing department with a colleague who came from 15 years at international finance and production companies. I am global, paranormal activity, atomic blonde, a single man, and voltage. Atomic blonde bombed Brian. The Hurt Locker, Dallas Buyers Club. I Feel Pretty. Dude, those are some great records. No. I've sold or arranged financing for 150 to 200 films, including Immaculate last year with Black Bear that went to Neon. Was that the Sydney Sweeney flick? Hell yeah, dude. All of the streamers run strict retention to cost analytics before making acquisition offers or deciding what they are going to spend on P&A. I know the metrics because I've made a lot of those deals. I've represented actors, showrunners, athletes, music docuseries like the Janet Jackson. Yes, Paul V. Tyson. I've also renegotiated in success. What do you think Hollywood does? Guess. Just because Netflix did not report the theatrical box office for K-pop Demon Hunters doesn't mean we don't know it made 19 to 19.2 million 2 weeks ago. Apparently K-pop Demon Hunters rules, dude. Our owners, dude, bro. Our owner also owns an NBA team and a minority stake in an NFL franchise. The NBA has a $13 billion valuation. Do you think that 30 teams all owned by billionaires don't know the streaming numbers, or that all of them would be okay with Adam Silver if he told them Max won't tell me? Exactly. If Max even knows them at all, so we can't get the upper hand when we need to negotiate our deal. Why in the world would you or anyone live in this much willful ignorance, really? And that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Like 3 years ago, that's like a talking point, maybe even a bit before then. But like the agents and the managers and all this shit in Hollywood have caught on to that. So they're not negotiating. They're like, show me the numbers. Ballpark it. Give me the Nielsen. Let my guy look at that and make sure. They caught on. They're not redacts, okay? They fucking figured it out and they go, oh, the streamers want to hide them? Well, then I represent, for instance, Sydney Sweeney or whatever. You don't get this movie unless you show me the fucking numbers. Neon's negotiate. Oh, yeah, we're on this streamer. All of our movies go to this streamer and blah, blah, blah. Well, what's the numbers? Oh, we don't fucking know. Just trust. It's not. The game's evolving, Dave. You're behind the times. So, again, shout out Nicolo Piccolo for pointing all of that out. And then he's like, yes, they do. Then Filthy Tom Lawler's like, what's the average number for a broadcast in Max? And then he has another long one, but essentially Nicolo Piccolo's like, that's not how it works. Like, I don't. So here, he sums it up perfectly, actually. He says, Filthy Tom Lawler says, just trying to clarify. Dave doesn't know the numbers. You don't know the numbers, but there are high-ranking executives at Max and possibly other properties involved with Max that do know the numbers. Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Nobody fucking knows them, but Tony Khan for sure knows. If he doesn't, bro, they have total control of that man. He's a dumbass, you know? And yes, people at Max for surely likely do. High-ranking execs, maybe not even them. But the high-ranking exec that deals with AEW's bullshit, likely fucking knows. I'm sure Zaslav's seen it on a sheet and went, huh, and then hasn't brought it up. This is how you know it's not important. Because they would be like, holy fuck, it's do it. Zaslav would be like, man, this thing's knocking it out of the park. We're really fucking. He doesn't ever say that. So for sure, he's like seen the numbers and then just whatever, back of the brain. And then NBA, he can just start rattling shit off. Why? Because it's insignificant. That's a way to tell. Pick up on social cues and people and how they say things and what they say. Fucking dummy, Dave. Not filthy Tom. I'm not calling you a dummy, but like this is a good, like Tom Lawler is just pointing this out. He's just like, no one really knows them, but maybe some execs do. Of course, as Doe says, yeah, that's exactly it. Nailed it. Which, I mean, that goes without saying. So Dave needs to quit pretending like he knows them or like he knows who knows them. That's all it is. And so Tom Lawler is like, what's the average number for a broadcast? I don't know. Niccolo Piccolo, his whole thing was like, that's not how it works. The numbers are typically proprietary to the executives and the agents at the top level, producers and other stakeholders involved. The competitive advantage is gained by keeping the numbers on the actual deep and very specific intel within the circle of stakeholders, etc. So he's just saying, like, Dave is right about the privacy is a good thing, but to pretend like NBA aren't like, okay, assholes, we're not going to sell you our streaming rights unless you tell us the number. Like, come on, man. You really fucking think that's what's going on, Dave? You're so naive, or you're just a liar. And so we read Piccolo's thing there. Piccolo, he's Namekian. So the invisible hand, Don Callis, goes off on Meltzer again. He's like, media outlets reporting Taz does right thing, but Meltzer just wants to see his childhood legend on TV. Taz knows the business and protects young talent while Dave gaslights all of us. And then Taz is like, I don't think I ever had 5 stars, so I stunk. Just kind of roasting Dave, man. It's funny. So here is the lie. Listen to this. We caught Dave in some of the funniest fucking Meltzer math, and shout out foul lad Maximil Colby who sent me this. Okay, literal proof Dave Meltzer doesn't know how to do math, and I win. Listen to fucking this. Okay, just listen to this.
If he doesn't,
he's talking about MMA. What he's trying to talk about is how Hanato Money Moicano was like, okay, so the UFC had to pay out a bunch of people, and some people got paid out more. It was like to the tune of like hundreds of millions or whatever the fuck. Some fighters got paid out more. Like one fighter received 10.37 million, not billion, sorry, like 10.3 whatever million. It was Anderson Silva. And then other fighters, like the lowest they got was like 100 grand or something. Like the UFC had to pay out a bunch of fighters for like the time they put in, the level they fought at, all of this shit in like this landmark lawsuit. And all these fighters, if you ever fought in the UFC starting from like 06 or some shit, you are entitled to money. And there was like a deadline to claim it, and they paid everybody out. Some people in the millions, most people in the hundreds of thousands. Hanato Money Moicano works for the UFC currently, and he's like, I didn't accept the money. And his whole thing is preaching like money, money, money. And so people roasted him. They're like, dude, why are you loyal to the UFC? So Dave here is just regurgitating shit he heard other people fucking say. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And basically, if you reject this money, so Hanato Moicano like turned down his 200 grand, right? That money then gets divvied up to the 600, or I don't know how many fighters it was, but it gets divvied up among them. So each fighter gets like an extra $16 or something. Listen to Meltzer's fucking math. Him try and do the math on this.
if he doesn't take the money, it just goes to somebody else.
Well, what it does is it's prorated, and everyone gets like a few extra dollars.
Yes.
Of his money. Everyone will get, whether it's a few extra dollars or like $1. There's like 600 fighters. So if let's just say he was getting 100 grand, and I don't know that number, 600 fighters. So everyone's going to get.
Yeah, they were like, I think Moicano, it was like 200 grand or some shit he was getting. Brendan Schaub was like, I can't remember. I think he's like, oh, I got like 130 grand or some shit. He's like, I bought a truck or some shit. I don't know. Either way, it was a good chunk of change for everybody. Moicano turned it down. But listen to Dave. He's like, if it was $100,000, listen to this math.
That number, 600 fighters. So everyone's going to get 16,000.
So 100,000 divided by 600 gives you $166.67.
Liar!
Learn, baby, learn. Meltzer Inferno.
If you were to divvy up $100,000 among 600 people, that's $166. What was Dave's math on that again?
Grand, and I don't know that number. 600 fighters. So everyone's going to get 16,000 extra dollars.
Dave Meltzer, come on down. I should have played it before.
For his silliness. So whatever.
For his silliness. Okay, he just turned down money and a bunch of other people got 160 extra bucks that you think is 16 grand. And you're giving a shitty hack take. Don't talk about MMA. So yeah, Flute's in the chat. Taz is roasting Dave. So Bishop says, have they ever gone this low on Wednesday night before? And then Meltzer goes, nope. Maybe Osprey and Swerve meant way more than we thought. Yeah, when Swerve shows up at the end of the show and they do their lowest ratings for the night and he just jumps off some shit, or Nana dances down and then Swerve is like, yeah, I'm here. And he just stares at everyone. And they do it during the overrun, which is one of the worst rated parts. Yeah, that meant so much to the show, Dave. Fucking stupid idiot. Jesus. So here is Nicolo Piccolo. So here's Dave Meltzer just talking about how they're competing with each other. And Dave Meltzer's like, they are in competition for fans. They are in competition for talent. They are in competition for business deals. One is far bigger than the other, but to deny they are in competition is beyond hilarious, especially this year. I don't know if they're competing for fans. Yeah, they compete for talent, but only because Tony Khan will pay them people like astronomical amounts of money just to get them away from the Fed. They're in competition for business deals. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. One is far bigger than the other. Thank you for admitting that. What business deals are they competing for? Yeah, exactly. Like none. The NBA doesn't want AEW, dude. Unless AEW's like, hey, can we come? We'll bring you a belt and can we come film like one of our Taya Valkyries doing a show? So we saw Dave's cope. And then here's more cope. He's like, well, let's read this one. Well, Dave just got cooked by Nicolo Piccolo. And so here is Dave. And then we're going to do a watch along. It's late night, PWT After Dark. And we're going to watch this clip. And then we're going to watch like a video of them arguing. I think, yeah, I got it. I got the long form one. But here's Dave being like, why is every wrestling show besides NXT down this week? Exactly. NXT was up a little bit. Why? Oh, well, football wasn't on that day. Okay. But you're like, every show this week, Raw was on at lunch, at brunch time.
Last week, with the exception of NXT, every show did right at an all-time low. I mean, SmackDown has done lower on FS1, but it was the all-time low on USA. The Netflix number was undoubtedly their all-time low. The obviously AEW Dynamite and Collision were abysmal numbers. They were all-time low. LFG, I believe, was all-time low. It was like maybe 87,000 viewers. If not, it's very close to the all-time low.
Might as well talk about the Dynamite number now.
I got the chart and I'm looking, top, number one, right? Or it's could be number 3, number 5, right? And I'm looking and it's just like going down that chart, from the top down. And it's like, oh my God. And it was number 21. And I can't remember the last time it was number 21 on Wednesday night.
So Dave is like just coming to the realization, it's fucking dying year over year.
Stupid idiot.
The funny part is like, I thought the show was really good. The main event.
Exactly. Their worst show ever, and you thought it was really good. Dave, what the fuck does that tell you?
Stupid idiot.
What does that tell you? That should tell you all you need to know.
You know, poor people don't like AEW. Ben was fantastic, but I mean, that doesn't matter with the ratings. It's just, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to put my finger on it, and my original thought was TV in itself must also be down outside of sports.
AEW was number 21. It was not number 3 or number 5. It was number 3 or number 5 and did this number. I'll just go like, well, what a horrible night for TV. But it fell, you know, in comparison to
Thank
television.
God Dave didn't fucking even let that dude slide with that. That's just way too egregious bullshit, even for Dave.
So, but the television, a lot of these drops, yes, television as a whole is having a remarkably terrible September.
Oh my God, he's full blown.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard.